Chapter 206, Dividing the Spoils. Actually, it was relatively safer after leaving the open seas. The closer they got to Wuxia sector, the more secure they felt. They were still very careful in the international waters or the exclusive waters of the Korean Star sector. Once in Zhao Soxui noticed other flying cars passing by or approaching, she would immediately alert them. And Zhao Soxui immediately entered combat mode. The flying car moved quickly in an irregular direction. Fortunately, they were not in danger. Most of the flying cars they encountered were passing by at high speeds. Occasionally, a few flying cars would try to approach, but they were immediately frightened away by Zhaoxu's flying car. Under normal circumstances, the repulsive force flying car would fly in a straight line. When a repulsive force flying car deliberately maintained an irregular movement state, it meant one thing: warning. Serious warning, do not approach, otherwise, attack immediately. This was the flying language of the repulsive force flying car. All the tension dissipated when they entered the Wuxia sector. After entering the Wuxia sector, Zhao Soxui did not care about the flying cars that passed by unless they suddenly slowed down and stopped. The number one security force in the Wuxia sector was not just for show, that was the nightmare of countless enemies. Even in the Great Genetic Age, where countless animals and plants in nature had mutated, and humans had basically retreated from the depths of the mountains as long as it was within the influence of a city, Wuxia sector's security was still the best in the universe. When they flew into the borders of the capital, the sky was already bright. What welcomed Zutun and the others was a full Special Intelligence Division team. And Zhao Soxui had already informed the Special Intelligence Division about the rendezvous point. When it came to bounties, the Special Intelligence Division had to verify it before they could obtain the subsequent rewards. The rest was relatively easy. The seized flying cars and various resources were taken over by the Special Intelligence Division. Zhu Tui boarded in Zhao Xu's light blue flying car. The convoy instantly accelerated. It had to be said that Zhong Ziqiang's beggar model flying car was completely incomparable to Zhao Xu's light blue flying car. One was a beggar version, while the other was a deluxe version, or even a deluxe modified version. At 600 kilometers per hour, the sound of the airflow in the beggar model flying car was already very ear-piercing. There were also many strange sounds. And Zhao Xu's luxurious flying car was basically silent. He could sleep after playing some light music. The convoy entered a base in the suburbs of the capital's Special Intelligence Division. Zhu Tui, Zhong Ziqiang, and Zhao Soxui made their statements, including the registration of various supplies. Of course, the 11 anonymous trading cards that were seized were not handed over. The things that he handed in were not confiscated. Although the Special Intelligence Division was strong, they had only changed the unreasonable rules after so many years. Everything that was submitted would be examined by the Special Intelligence Division as evidence. The Special Intelligence Division would handle the contraband items that were not allowed in the Wuxia sector, such as the high-energy electric sniper rifles, anti-repulsion bombs, and some special electronic equipment. According to its value, the Special Intelligence Division would return a portion of the cash. This was also one of the highlights that the Special Intelligence Division had improved over the years. The contraband seized in the early years were all confiscated. As a result, many people would not hand over the contraband. Instead, they would be liquidated through other channels. After all, it was valuable. Some of the other things that were in line with the Wuxia sector's laws, such as the 3 repulsive force flying cars and some of the technological equipment that were allowed to be held, would be returned intact after they were checked. It was a little troublesome. It was almost 8 o'clock when Zhu Tui arrived at the Genetic Research Institute in Zhao Xu's flying car. There was still time for the first lesson. As for the 11 anonymous trading cards, Zhao Soxui said they would be temporarily kept. She would split them after they got back the repulsive force flying cars and obtained the bounties. Yes, to put it bluntly, they would split the loot after they got everything. This made Zhu Tui look forward to it. Not to mention the 11 anonymous trading cards, just the 3 repulsive force flying cars alone could be sold for a lot of money, right? Zhu Tui ignored the thought of keeping one for himself. The main problem was that the repulsive force-flying cars modified by pirates might pose a safety risk. This was especially true for Zutui, who was a pirate killer. If there was even a slight chance that he would be recognized, he would be in big trouble. Therefore, it was better to let Jun Ziking resell it to the inland area. After he got the legal procedures from the Special Intelligence Division. Half an hour later, Zutui sat in class. He was still a little excited. Even when he adjusted his breathing, he could not return to an extremely calm state. The experience of half a day and a night was a legend to ordinary people. However, to Zutui, it was as if he had completely opened the door to a new world. Was this the true world of genetic newcomers? What about when Zutui walked out of the Wuxia sector in the future? What was coming? What about the intergalactic battlefield? What will there be? Zutui had already confirmed that the so-called intergalactic battlefield was not as simple as the alien invasion described in the news. After a long time, Zutui finally calmed down and entered his learning mode. Staying up late and affecting his learning state did not exist for a person with powerful mental strength like Zutui. Unless he did not sleep for 2 to 3 days or his body was extremely tired, it would not affect his mental state. At noon, Zutui received a call from Luo Shifeng, a professor from the neurology department. If you have time in the afternoon, come to the Neurology Research Center. Alright, Mr. Luo. Actually, even if Luo Shifeng did not mention it, Zutui would still have to go to the Neurology Research Center after his afternoon class. He had earned more than 4 million yuan from the appearance fee and overall betting income during his trip to see paradise. His total assets had reached $5.64 million. Of course, he had a debt of 600,000 yuan, but he did not plan to return the 600,000 yuan loan for the time being. Anyway, the interest was very low. He would use it first. He would first use it to cultivate and complete the basic preparations for the clearing mission. The regular arena in Sea Paradise was not the right way to earn money. The risk was actually very high. But the benefits were not high. Zutui was able to earn more than 4 million this time largely because he had placed his bets on himself. He would lose everything if an accident happened during this bet. He had planned 3 directions for his cultivation before he went to Sea Paradise. The first direction was the increase in his reaction speed. In addition to activating the relevant genetic base points, it was also necessary to persist in training his reaction speed. This was especially so after activating the genetic base points of the reflexes type. Continuous high-intensity training could maximize the benefits of activating the genetic base points of the reflexes type. In comparison, the training effect of the 24-headed mixed laser matrix transmitter used by Luo Shifeng from the Neurology Research Center was much better than that used by students. The key was that there was no need for an appointment. He could use it as he pleased. It was a private VIP and for his exclusive use. According to Zutui's plan, he would be able to activate his 6th reaction type genetic base point if he trained again today. However, there was another research that he had to continue to do other than continuously activating genetic base points that were related to reaction speed. Last time, Luo Shifeng had made an all-round segmentation stimulation test plan for Zutun in order to find the normal way to locate the 8th nerve reaction type genetic base point. 2/3 of the way through the experiment, they found the 8th gene base point of the reaction type. However, Zutui wanted to continue the remaining 1/3 of the experiment. He wanted to try and see if he could use the incomplete 1/3 of the experiment to find a way to locate the 9th reaction type genetic base point. Of course, Zutui would not forcefully do it if he could not find them. He could activate it anyway. If he found it, wouldn't that add another research result to the research institute? Of course, there were also rewards. Zutui estimated that there was a high chance that Luo Shifeng had called him over today because of the research results reward. After all, the Wuxia Genetic Evolution College had passed this research last Friday. The efficiency of the current Genetic Research Institute, including the Genetic Committee, was very high. Zutui skipped his combat training class at 4:30 p.m. After so many life and death battles, Zutui was no longer interested in the school's combat training classes. There was no need to participate in the combat training of the Year 1 Mystery Branch. Professor Luo Shifeng was in class when Zhu Tui arrived at the Neurology Research Center. There were more than 7,000 freshmen. There were 1,500 students in each class. Basically, Luo Shifeng had to attend a neurological reaction speed class every Monday to Friday. He was one of the teachers who had a heavy workload. However, most of his classes were training time. Therefore, when he saw Zhu Tui coming over, he instructed a teaching assistant to keep an eye on the students. Luo Shifeng also skipped class. "Have a seat first." Luo Shifeng smiled and made a cup of tea for Zhu Tui. Then, he made a call. A few minutes later, Liu Lan arrived in her 13-centimeter high heels. When Liu Lan entered the room and saw Zhu Tun and Luo Shifeng sitting there, she realized something. Joy welled up in her heart, and her heels even turned slightly. If not for her quick reflexes, she would have fallen on the spot. As for whether the dress would reveal anything, that would depend on luck. All right, everyone is here. Let's have a small meeting. Regarding the research results of the newly discovered 8th reaction speed category, our school has already approved and successfully replicated it. The genetic committee has also successfully replicated it and given out rewards as usual. What's next, in layman's terms, is to split the spoils. Haha, this is a joke. It's time for us to share the results, Luo Shifeng said with a smile. Zhu Tui did not think much of it, but Liu Lan became excited first. Not to mention the degree of participation, Liu Lan was one of the top researchers in the report. Firstly, let's talk about the rewards. In terms of overall value, the value of our research results is not too great. However, the rewards are not bad. They are divided into one-time and long-term rewards. At this point, Luo Shifeng paused. His gaze flashed across Liu Lan and Zhu Tui's faces. But before we split the rewards, we have to determine the share each of us can enjoy.